Boom, we are now recording. All right, so what I need to do is go ahead and pull in the images that I have for the character. Let's see where I put him. Okay. So I got this Gene Belcher model sheet that I want to use. And so I want to go ahead and jump into my front view. I want to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. Bring that in. Jump over to my side view. And import image. And bring in my side view. Okay. Now these should generally be scaled pretty accurately, but you know what? Since that doesn't always happen, we're going to go ahead and try to get that fixed. Okay. Yeah, I mean they're pretty damn accurate, but just in case. So the way I go about it, if you guys remember from some of the other videos, I'll take a little block and I'll go to the top of the head and the bottom of the feet and just kind of measure and get it basically from the right there, more or less where the bottom of the foot's going to be for me on there. That's going to be his side view, and then I'm going to move this over so I get that front view. So just make sure we get that centered, and then that side view, same idea. Just make sure that is lined up as well, and it looks perfect. Now, for you guys, if you're not, if it's not scaled or if you didn't draw them all together in one document, what I'll do is I'll take my pivot point and I'll move it down to the bottom of the feet, and then that way I can scale from the feet, and so it's just a central point for both views, and that allows me so if I'm scaling from the middle, that's going to scale the feet down and the head up. But if I do it just from the feet or even the top of the head, both will work just fine. I can at least keep one of those positions kind of locked, and it works really well. Okay, so if I jump back in perspective, I'm going to go and grab my, let's see, that's going to be my side view. I'm going to pull them up like that. I'm going to push this drawing back like that. And then both of these, if this is the ground plane, this grid right here, I'm going to go and take that and put his feet on the grid. Okay? So right about there. Go ahead and save it. All right, and put Gene Belcher and save it right there. Okay. All right, any questions on that? You guys good? Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to start off with a cube and I'm going to honestly kind of just pay attention to just modeling half of his body. As long as your drawing is symmetrical, you have it lined up right in the middle, it should not be an issue to just mirror it over. I've been doing it this way since before really like the mirror tool was a thing in Maya. So I guess I'm just really kind of stuck with this. But I just kind of like this approach, to be honest with you. So the way that I kind of go about it is I kind of start off with like this kind of football shoulder pad pattern where it goes from the center of the chest up over the shoulder and then onto the back. And then I kind of work my way down the torso and then close it off, and ends up kind of sort of looking like a one-piece bathing suit type of thing.
You start with the body instead of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find it's kind of similar to like gesture drawing. You're kind of getting into all the proportions before you go into like super heavy detail. Also, in a way, I kind of feel like it warms me up a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of take like that area right there. And let's do maybe like a split view. There we go. And then let's actually take this. I'm going to kind of wrap it over the shoulder. And we're going to run into inconsistencies with the drawings, which is fine. We kind of just need to have like a general primary and then a secondary drawing that we're going to look at in terms of like placement. So I'm kind of looking at like the front drawing as where I'm going to kind of identify places that I need to kind of follow. And then like my side view, there's going to be maybe some inconsistencies in there. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take, kind of following that neckline a little bit right there. And then right here, I'm going to kind of move it up. Now, granted, this is not the front of his body, so I'm not going to go all the way to the front. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and take, let's see, this one right here. I'll go and take that edge right here on the front. Hit Control E, and then I'm going to go and extrude it. I'm going to pull that over. Do Control E again. And then that's going to give me another extrusion right there. This is going to be that center line. So I'm going to go and pull that forward. Put that on the center right there. This one right here. I'll look at the side where I'm modeling this. And then this guy, this little vertex right here is going to come over. So it's kind of like a collar a little bit, how we're going up and over. And I'm kind of generally keeping the same topology on the front and the back. They're going to be in different positions, but like if I'm doing an extrusion here, you know, on the front, I'm probably going to do the same extrusion on the back. It may be, again, different positions. It's not going to be a copy, but it's going to be a similar pattern, I guess. At least starting out, it will be. And that little point right here is going to go out to his back. we'll move that one up to here. This one up to here. And then that one right over here. And honestly, just like I was doing with like the niche character, or the creature character, I mean, I'm always just kind of rolling around this thing, right? The camera is always looking at different angles. I'm looking at it from the front, from the side, but I'm also looking at it in this perspective view. And you guys need to make sure you're doing the same thing. That's fine. Is it bothering you? Okay. Otherwise, it just gets hot in here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do a little extrusion that's going to go under the armpit right here. So I'm going to grab this edge and that edge. And we'll do an extrusion, bring it over. And then do another extrusion and bring it over. And kind of close them up right about there. And then we'll take these two vertexes, merge center, hit G, redo last used tool. Okay. All right, this right here, we'll put that under his elbow, or not elbow, armpit. And then this one, I'm gonna bring up here. Okay, and then take a look around. All right, so you kind of see we're kind of building this piece that's going over. We got basically a hole for the arm to come out of. And we're kind of just working our way from that. You guys have any questions at this point? We're good? Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vertex down here, move that down, and then I want to take these two edges and just bring them down. And then I'm going to take these two vertexes and merge them. Merge those. Okay. All right, so that's going to go back over to the back. Kind of just paying attention right here. And this guy's going to go up the front. Okay. And then one more extrusion down here. Target weld that over. Target weld that one over. And now I got a face loop I can extrude just like straight down if I want to. So we're building out that curve for the torso, since Gene is kind of a husky boy. We're also going to go and kind of spread that over right here so we get a little bit more space. A little bit more over here. over just a hair. Okay. All right, so we'll take these edges, and I'm going to extrude them straight down. Also, just kind of flatten them out. We'll extrude them down again. Let's see, probably somewhere around his waist, right about there. And then I can go ahead and take a multi-cut and just throw another edge right here. Okay? So I feel like we're gonna have to probably pull this one a little more forward. And I'm just outlining the character. Those out, pull these out, and then looking at it from the side, I'll pull that out. And again, I'm just kind of just adjusting. It's just a lot of adjusting. Okay, and then we'll take, so I'm gonna need to go and start building in like where the hips are gonna come out. For his body, probably the legs more or less kind of come like out straight down, or maybe like slightly, there's like a little diagonal for where that hip might be. So I wanna kind of create this area where, again, it's gonna look kind of like a one-piece swimsuit, where we have this geometry that comes down the front and back, and then in between the legs through the groin, and then joins up in the center. And then we can extrude just like the t-shirt or the top with where the shoulder is. We can extrude the leg just straight out from there. Okay, so we're kind of building these places where we're going to be launching the arms and legs out of. So I'm going to go down like that. Down like that. And then if we look at it from the side, bring it over. Bring it over. Yeah, I'm actually gonna kind of, maybe not that much. I'm kind of lining it up a little bit so it wasn't at like such a strict angle. Probably a bridge. Let's go back. Bridge. There we go. Okay, so I'll bridge cross. And kind of bring that down a little bit. And you can kind of see like where they drew his butt and his front area. You can kind of see there's like a generic curve going through there. So we kind of imagine that it would probably follow that same kind of arc. And if you want to, we could also do like another, just a multi-cut that'll go right down the center portion, and then move like that over, maybe that down a little bit, that over too, and move that up. So since I put this in here, I'm kind of redistributing everything around. So something that kind of looks like that. Now for the hip, again, thinking of like the shape of like a one-piece swimsuit, you know, you have where the hip is cut, it kind of comes in at an angle a little bit. So I'm also going to kind of raise this area up just a little bit. And kind of bring that down and over. And then that'll give us a little bit of like a rounded hole to bring the limb out of. One thing I want to be careful about is if you leave it straight and you extrude the leg straight out, you end up with like this curved outer leg, but then it's like completely flat in between the legs. And it looks terrible. Don't do that. Fix it. If you can fix it here, it looks so much better. So you don't have to deal with that issue after you've already modeled the leg. You're like, oh crap, I've got too many edge loops here to deal with that. We don't want the apathy to take over. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so same idea here as I do want to have kind of a nice rounded arm. I'm going to go and do an extrusion, extrude. And then this is going to be my base edge for the arm to extrude out of. Already can see I'm going to have to rearrange some of this. So this right here, there's not a lot of topology right there, so I'm going to go and pull this edge up. I want to kind of have a general same number of faces on the top of the arm as on the bottom of the arm. So right now I'm sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I want to have this on the bottom. So I might take and add one there. And just kind of redistribute a little bit so I can have a defined top of the shoulder edge, and that'll match up with the bottom. And I can kind of take that. This one right here kind of goes right there. You can see how we're kind of like evening this out a little bit. Again, setting this up for success early on. Okay, something like that. A little bit more of an actual circle. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, lucky 8. All right, I'm gonna extrude, go straight out. I want to go ahead and straighten that edge. And then as soon as I'm starting to get it out of there, I'm gonna kind of round this out. Now I am focusing on rounding this arm out because the style sheet, the style of the show supports that. If you are doing a character like Gumby, Gumby is not round. Gumby is a block. We all know who Gumby is, right? No? One of us does not know. He's the green wedge of clay that's in that stop motion animated show from like the 70s, I think. Jaylene, do you know? Yeah? Okay, good. Thank you. I'm so happy. He's part of the zeitgeist of humanity in some way. Yeah. It's like Thomas the Tank Engine. I understand. He's a scary dude. But you know what? Ringo Starr was the narrator from the Beatles. All right. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to, let's make sure we are kind of following following that. The outline of the arm. I think we're doing pretty good on the bottom. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Okay. Pull that up a little bit more. That feels good. All right, so that's going to be somewhere around maybe his elbow. Although, to be fair, I don't think anyone from Bob's Burgers has like a truly defined elbow, because they're sausages. They're just moving noodles, which I hated when I first saw the show, but then I was like, I don't anymore. Okay. All right. One thing I like to do, and I think it helps me with when it comes to rigging, is I like to put a very, very slight bend in the elbow, like super slight, just so I can remember where that joint needs to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take, let's say this elbow, I'm going to move it back just a hair. I'm going to move that forward just a hair. So you can see there's just a really slight bend, okay? Okay. All right, so with that example we're talking about, with having good topology going down the joint chain, right? The more topology we have, the better it deforms. So we always want to make sure we have a minimum of how many edges around each articulation point, each joint, each bone. Nicole.
They're around the elbow and then more around the arm itself.
Specifically, where do my 3 go?
One on where the elbow creases, one above the elbow, one above the joint, and one at the bottom.
Thank you. Yes.
What do we call their joints? But like, is there a specific name for the joint?
Elbow joint?
I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to put one here and here. I'm also going to go ahead and put in a couple right there. I'm going to put in 3 going down the forearm. And then since we have a shoulder right here, I'm also going to go and throw in an extra edge right there, okay? Now, if you were going to be doing things that have muscles, Gene is not a character I would say has any level of muscles. But if you were going to do muscles, you could do a real quick and easy bicep with that type of topology. Be a very quick and easy one, okay? All right, another thing is going to be arms, the forearms. So if everyone can raise your arms out to your side with your palms facing down, okay? What direction do our elbows, the inside of our elbows, naturally face? If we were on a grid plane and Z is going in front of us, X is out to the sides, Y is up and down, which direction do our elbows go? They go facing up the front, right? Z axis, positive Z. Well, negative Z would be behind us. So inside of the elbow, this part faces positive Z, okay? All right, so we kind of pin that and our palms are facing down. This is kind of our natural position, right? Like we keep our palms facing inwards. If we rotate our palm forward Z, if you notice, the arm rotates. There's a declining deformation of the forearm as it rotates, but we're actually kind of lining up, and I'm kind of looking at this vein right here as it goes all the way down the inside of my arm. So I rotate my palm down. That follows from here, goes under and into the underside of my palm. The point I'm making is that we are actually rotating our arm into a neutral kind of resting position. I would say this is more natural than this, okay? Because this is halfway from one extreme to the other. I can rotate my wrist back to negative Z. I can rotate my wrist to positive Z. But this is kind of halfway in between, okay? Palm down, yeah. But specifically, that line went from this position facing down. So it kind of moved like I want to say like 90 degrees. It kind of gently rotated 90 degrees around the arm. And so what we would want to do is kind of emulate that with our topology. Okay? There's a twist. There's a forearm twist. And so what we would like to do is take this edge right here, and I'm going to go and hit B as in boy, turn on soft select, and basically get it up to where the elbow is kind of sitting. So what's going to happen is I can kind of move this around, right? But I can also twist it. So if we're sitting like that, and I rotate my palm down, I'm rotating my wrist like clockwise, if I'm looking at it from this position. Or counterclockwise. Yeah, is it counterclockwise? Yeah, it is counterclockwise. Okay. So we're just going to go down maybe like 45 degrees, something like that. So the idea is that when we attach the arm, and if we rotate the wrist, it unfolds. Okay? So if we have the hand facing down, then we face it forward, it opens up. If we go back down, then it rotates like that. Okay? Does that make sense? Cool. What's your question?
I was gonna ask, would it make more sense for it to be a little further down the arm, but it is as you can see it at first?
Mm-hmm. It's just going down to the elbow. I'm not really wanting it to affect the elbow because this is a lot closer. The ligaments are attaching this to the skin a little bit more closely. Then, because this is all just muscle and like we have the two bones that twist and bend over each other, which is why we get the twist in the first place. Huh?
Your radius and your ulna that connect to your carpal?
That sounds like good answers. Yes, we'll go with that.
That's the median of the bones that
Okay.
are here.
I'm not very good at like biology, or anatomy, so I'll go with that. Okay, so we got that. Then we're gonna go ahead and take the area where where we kind of construct where we're gonna launch that leg out of. I'm gonna go ahead and extrude. I'm gonna kind of extrude it out that way, but then I want to kind of flatten this out. I don't want to flatten it like that because that looks like garbage. That's not a good shape. But I do kind of like that shape. Like that's not bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit D to change my pivot point. To kind of more or less line up with the outside and inside of the thigh. And then I'm just gonna flatten that out. Kind of bring this in, shrink it down, because like his legs are not the same width as his shorts. Yeah, he's got some little chicken legs. Or as Gene would say, I'm still a growing boy. So something kind of like that. And then we'll extrude. And so you'll notice that gave us a pretty decent little rounded shape, right? Like we don't have that super flat on the inside, super rounded on the outside. Like that's helped out. It is slightly flatter on the inside, but like we can work with this. We can do something with this. So before we get too far, I do want to go ahead and take this edge, move that over here. I'll take this edge and just kind of redistribute these a little bit more. Mm-hmm.
Down for a second. Can I see the hip from the front view again?
Hang on. There you go.
Would it make more sense for it to have more
topology?
Yeah,
You're right, it would. We're not there yet.
okay.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let's shrink that down. Now that's a little more round. I'm gonna go and shrink that down too. Okay, so I imagine his knee's probably somewhere around about there. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go. Maybe right about there. Okay, I'll go with that. All right, we'll go down to the ankle. Shrink it in a little bit. Let's take a look at the side.
So if your mom had like large calf muscles,
Mm-hmm.
would you do it like a similar way you do like a bicep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're, and I'll talk about it. Like it is basically like the bicep. You are correct. All right, so right here, I'm gonna kind of move this up just a little bit. I'm gonna kind of pull this up, 'cause I feel like this is feeling a little bit unnatural to me. But it served the purpose, and the reason why I did that was because it gave me a clean line going down. And then what I can do is throw some more edges. Do one right here. Honestly, it's kind of fun. It's when you're doing like these cartoony characters. I want to put muscles on them so badly, but you can't. It's like you got to be happy with like give them a straight leg and you're done. It just feels wrong. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can make this look a little bit straighter.
I think it's the one in the middle. It's too long, too wide.
Okay. I'm gonna re-put these in because I'm not super happy with like where we're getting at. Okay. This run right here, if that's gonna be the knee, I have to make sure it's flat. And then I'd like to make sure that generally speaking, edge loops that are going down limbs are mostly perpendicular to the direction of the leg or the limb. So something kind of like that, and a little bit extra in here. And then right in this area, there's a lot of movement because we have those hips, and the hips are like really kind of close together. So just anatomically speaking, like there's a lot of stretchiness going on in there. So what I'll do is I will extrude, shrink it in, and that'll give me essentially one edge loop, basically 1, 2, 3 edge loops that go through the groin area. And it's nice because since I'm doing extrusion and shrinking in, it's not going to be going up anywhere else. So that's useful. If you want to, since we're going to be kind of putting this over on the other side as well, you could utilize this if you wanted to do like abdominal muscles. you could just kind of extrude and move that up all the way up into the stomach region. And to get that shape for like the lower, like where the rib cage will like cut off, and you'd have the abdominal muscles. So, this is another option. All right, I'm gonna grab all of that. I want to line this up. It's been a minute since I've done that. Okay, I'm going to deselect the neck, line it up, and then put it right back on the center point. But this will give us some good topology right in this area. So again, like we can have the characters walk, run, kick, jump, whatever we need them to do. And if you want topology to model a butt, there you go. We have topology we can use to model out a butt. There you go. Start of the butt. Okay. Okay. Any questions at this point? You guys feeling pretty good? I think it's understandable. Okay. All right. So for characters that have chests, breasts, muscular areas on the chest, whatever, protrusions. It kind of depends, but I do have kind of a pattern that I like to follow for doing. They can be really any shape breasts that you want them to be, but it's essentially just the same pattern for each one. So, I'm sorry, Gene. So what I'm going to do is we'll say, for a breast, the attachment is going to be like higher up on the rib cage than I think is sometimes thought. But I'll take usually, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 faces here on the front. And then I can kind of work with these and pull them in for an extrusion, and then work with like that as kind of the launching point. And so what I'll do then is I'll do another extrusion, kind of pull it out like that. We'll go ahead and pull this area out, and again, rounding it out. And then just grab, okay, that one, pull that down. So we're kind of attaching somewhere right about there. I might pull this up a little bit further. Okay. And then right here, I'm actually going to pull these back. So there's going to be like a fold as the breast comes out, and it's going to sit essentially on the rib cage. Okay. So I kind of will bring like that down. And then I'm kind of thinking like the weight, like that weight's going to be kind of sitting again on the rib cage, but it's going to also kind of like come out and spread out a little bit. And so there's like a teardrop shape to it. Which, again, I will preface by saying they're all different. I just want to make sure and preface that because I feel like I need to sometimes. They're all extremely different. But the general idea is that we have this topology pattern that can be used to achieve a breast that, one, looks more realistic than just like grabbing a vertex, soft select, and like pulling out. It can be rigged, it can be animated if it needed to be. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but like it needs to be. So when I was talking to Jordan in that interview, they use digital doubles so much in the Marvel films. And characters like Black Widow, she's not making all those flips. She's not getting thrown off a roof. She might have a stunt double, but they do need to be able to have like a digital double, someone that's animating that character. And they'll have to rig it and do all that stuff, so it's useful. And then just conveniently, if you wanted to put a nipple on, that topology is really good for just putting a little nipple on there too if you need to. Okay. If you needed to fix it, we can always add more edge loops. We can use soft select. I feel really wrong for doing this to Gene, but he's cool with it. He's fine. Change the shape. Again, just like that pattern I was talking about earlier with like topology patterns for the same generic topology pattern can be applied to any type of character. This can be applied to any type of muscle system or anything you're applying to. Because you could also rehash this into pectoral muscles. Because you've got someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're going to have to model pectoral muscles on him. You can't get by with just doing like a little stick figure. Okay. So does that make sense on like breast modeling?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Hmm? I mean, it's human anatomy, so like it's not it's not weird. Why didn't I just leave it on Gene?
Gene does not have that. He is not the age to have a baby yet.
I mean, I don't know. I would say his cartoon style does not support having model breasts. Yeah. Now, if I was doing like, what's the mom's name?
Linda.
Yeah, so probably her. Like, I probably would have model breasts for Linda because she's an adult. Yeah. Okay. So that brings us to basically having the bodysuit finished. This is kind of where I'm saying like this is like the wetsuit stage because we have essentially a wetsuit. So for coming up, we'll work on feet, hands, and then we'll work on the head as well. Okay.